we're living an elusive life behind these flamingos.
Oh, dude, congrats.
Thanks, legend. Thanks.
I looked at the auction yesterday. That's fucking nuts, dude.
Yeah, it was epic, man. It blew us away. I think even we were shooting a music video yesterday, and Alex and I just had these constant moments where we just kind of looked at each other and were like, "What the fuck is going on?"
Yeah, holy shit, man.
Yeah, it's a pretty rad community. Have you've obviously gone a bit deeper and engaged in the Phantom community?
Yeah, well, I mean, like, Phantom's now the main thing that I'm holding, just out of, like, I don't know, it seems like one of the most well-driven communities now.
Dude, it's fucking sick. And like, I mean, just as a blockchain, it's so new, relatively. And, you know, it's still definitely very underpriced as a thing. But, like, also, it's fast, it's cheap, it's, you know, it could become extremely fucking, you know, it's a very good place. But more than anything, like, the community on it is just so diehard Phantom that they just, like, live and breathe it. And, like, you know, it's such a positive, rad community that they support. I think us, like, we're new to the community and we're just...
I think as well, like, so many coins have been completely run to the ground. Like, their communities have gotten really kind of like vicious or like whatever. And I think I was talking to Bush Doctor about this last night.
Yeah.
About potentially like how Phantom is kind of becoming that coin where anyone who's really sick of all that bullshit and all the cheap nature of all the other coins, everyone's kind of like trying to make it imperative that Phantom, I don't know, is different. And remains different.
Well, I mean, all the shit coins, like, they kind of gain popularity and then come up with an idea of what they're going to do. Whereas, like, Phantom seem to know what they're about from the get-go.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
So, I mean, and not to mention building NFTs off of them. That's fucking great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a pretty exciting time, man. I think just generally the community around it and behind it is it's just fucked up supportive. It's really epic.
How many? So you're launching 777 to begin with, that?
777 of this kind of style that you're looking at now. This flamingo without the wing.
Oh yeah.
That's kind of like like the super, I guess, rare difference, aesthetic difference between the Genesis series and the amount that we're going to mint to F.
Right.
All the Genesis series will feature these purple backgrounds, so we call them obviously Genesis or story or narrative. So like these are like the colors of which, like, we're kind of trying to, you know, it's in line with the branding and all that sort of shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So these purple backgrounds will be available to the other flamingo holders, but they will be very rare. I think super rare. These to get this purple background. Yeah. So basically, the Genesis series gets released with all rare backgrounds and wings. Sorry, no wings. Still in all the styles. I think we made that decision purely because, like, for example, the flamingo with the wing, whilst it's great, we just feel like the Genesis series with the ones that don't have their wing out kind of look more proud. They kind of like, you know, chest out, kind of wings back. They look more OG, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, so that's why we've decided to kind of like break them up. So there will only be 777 that don't have a wing out like this. They'll still all come in their styles, which is pink, blue, yellow, bronze, silver, gold, crystal, Damascus, trippy, and the
That
community.
trippy one is fucking cool, dude. I mean, they're all cool, but that one's all.
Yeah, I think this trippy one is going to be probably the most popular. Sorry,
Yeah.
not popular, because it's rare, so there's no way it can really be popular. There's going to be only so...
Yeah, that's the weird thing about this.
It is weird, yeah. It is genuinely weird. I mean, just as a piece of art, like, I spend so much time and so much energy and thought going into the rarer attributes and the ones that aren't going to pop up as often, and sometimes, due to the algorithm, potentially might not pop up at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird. It's definitely weird. I'm super excited to see how the mint happens, though, and what pops out on the other side.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the thing, like, it's all art and NFTs are a gamble nonetheless, really. But, like, I don't know, like, because I've known you personally, it's kind of cool that I'm going to own, like, a piece of your art kind of thing. Whereas, like,
Well, on that, dude, like,
I
it's...
really don't mind if it doesn't pan out on, like, sales of what you managed to get for that first one, like.
Fully, man. But at the end of the day, like, you know, from that comment, you know me personally, like, you know exactly how we, and especially myself, like, how I invest myself into my artwork, you know, like,
Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah,
gonna,
exactly.
I'm not gonna fucking do anything. I'm not just gonna, like, I'm certain, you know, if I could have painted money for cash, I would have been doing that for the last 15 years, you know, and I probably would be doing all right by now. Like, I don't do art, and I don't do anything kind of creative for the money or the financial gain. Obviously, working with Alex and Dan, there's no way that our team is going to go forward and move ahead without properly thinking about future utility and how this can be artwork outside of artwork, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is just, I think, just standard things that you need to be fucking thinking about as a team and just generally as an NFT. But yeah, man, first and foremost, it's just like I've just busted my balls and made sure that the artwork is fucking cool, you know? And it's tricky making sure that every attribute doesn't overlap. I know that we had some difficulty with the eyes and the heads, which took a bit of shuffling to kind of get perfect. We did a bunch of that. We did a bunch of that yesterday. Just moving the hats around. You can see that there's a little bit of overlap here with the eyes and stuff. But just making sure that that stuff looks stylistic and cool and rad, and making sure that, you know, I can spend all the time I want on making the artwork look kind of snazzy and look nice. But it still also has to practically work with each other, you know?
Yeah, that's a side that I definitely hadn't thought about, that, like, it's all kind of going to be randomly blended, so how...
Every single possible combination has to be basically in some way relative to each individual one. So I'm dealing with, you know, almost 150 attributes here, different little things that I can click on and off. Every single one of those 150, I've got to... I mean, this is why I keep going into this Photoshop file and keep kind of doing these last-minute checks before I hand it over to Dev, because there's 7,777 possible combinations of how these attributes will interact with each other, and I've somehow got to get my mind around making sure, doing my best job at making sure that none of them clash.
Yeah, that's super difficult, dude.
Yeah, dude, it's not just like fucking just drawing. Like, you don't just draw on a piece of paper and you go, hey, everyone buy my NFT. Like, I guess maybe you can do that. More of the fine art projects, I guess, if you have your medium and your style. But it's absolutely not like that. You just, like, you have to, for example, like, you can see here everywhere that the attribute that sits on his back, you can see that they all I've kind of created, if I didn't use like a color pane or some sort of blob, to know exactly structurally where those attributes can and can't sit. You know, I basically have like
Right.
a barrier.
It's actually like sinking into the flamingo.
Yeah, but making sure that, for instance, this is basically my boundary. So if I turn, I'll show you an example. If I turn on a pair of clothes, I think the good one to use as an example here is a super rare trait, which is the spacesuit. So you can see that, you know, I've created with lines. I've tried to create some sort of 3D depth with this box and bag. He's got a little oxygen bag he's got on the back of his spacesuit. Now, obviously, this series of black lines here, they're very important. Nothing can be extruding or going over them, for instance, right? So if we go through our back attributes, you'll see that I've kind of made sure that every single attribute never meets that line or crosses this line.
Right.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, you're using sections, and you're really making sure, like I said, that every single thing that you're drawing, you know, if I've got 30 something different pairs of clothes, I've got to make sure that every single piece of clothes works with that one green egg, and vice versa, you know.
Holy shit, dude.
It's fucking in depth, man. Like, it's a lot. I think there's kind of two stages. You kind of, obviously we came up with our animal, you know, because we were looking at doing the Boss Moxie kind of thing, and we were trying to really make our band and the artwork around our band kind of work.
Yeah.
But that just didn't. It's just not the same. So we just kind of like, pick an animal.
Why flamingos?
Well, because everybody loves flamingos. I think that was basically the premise. Dude, it didn't take very long.
Who hates a flamingo?
Yeah, fully.
Yeah, that's a good point.
You'd have to be a real cunt to hate a fucking flamingo.
I completely agree. And they're such strange and unique creatures. Like, they're so fucking weird.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, actually, now that you pointed it out, like, what the fuck else are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Well,
Like,
they're also
perfect.
they're beautiful birds. They're really mysterious. They're pink, and they're just what they do naturally ties into our sort of roadmap and our plan. Like, albeit maybe not intentional at first, but the whole migratory element to a flamingo is like now become kind of core of our utility by migrating them from Ethereum to Phantom. So works on many levels.
Not only that as well, like as we've found out more about flamingos, and that's also because the community has just dropped a whole bunch of fucking live facts and stuff, and you know what I mean? Like, the community's kind of made sure that we've remained educated on these fucking birds. But yeah, like the backgrounds, all the backgrounds I'm showing you, they're all midnight, because like they're all purple, deep purple and dark, because flamingos migrate at midnight. You know, they're midnight flyers. That's what they do. So it's pretty cool learning about the bird, and then eventually, like, slowly having to integrate all these things that you've learned into the artwork. It's rad.
The other cool point is on that as well, like how they're actually pink because of the shit they eat, the algae they eat, which is like toxic waters that they live in. Usually, like around volcanoes, and like have like sulfur, you know, springs and shit that they live in. So the pink, like they start out white.
Oh, yeah, I think I
they
have
eat
that
all
on the
this
ground.
algae. Yeah, and then that's what makes them go pink, which is fascinating. So they're naturally colourful animals, so they lend themselves very nicely to cool art.
Yeah, and then the black flamingo as well. I didn't even know that was a thing, but they're super rare, and they're very rarely, if not ever, spotted in the wild. But yeah, you can get complete black flamingos, which are literally the reverse. As Dan was saying before, like, you can when a pink flamingo flies or takes flight, you'll see the black under its wings.
Oh, yeah.
A black flamingo is literally just the opposite. It's just yeah, it's just a black flamingo with pink under its wings. We didn't even know this
That's
before.
fucking cool.
Yeah, it's fucking rad.
We're going to become like flamingo experts. We're slowly becoming like knowledgeable about flamingos. This is great.
God damn. Alright, well, I gotta head
man.
off. We gotta
Specifically
go
on
to
flamingo.
It's.
No worries, Jack. That's all good, man.
I'll still be listening because I'm fucking keen to learn more.
Fucking A, dude.
Oh, yeah, dude.
Easy, lads.
Get ready
Have a good one.
to mint these motherfuckers, dude.
Oh, yeah, fucking A, man. Cheers, bro.
See you, mate.
Peace.
Chinaman, you were there for the Chinaman. You were there for the auction yesterday, weren't you?
Yeah, that one went up for sale. The Jason face.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
Epic.
dude.
So huge.
I'm walking Da Vinci right now. I can't see who's online. Vince just took a shit.
On your Vince.
Nice. Hey,
On your
On your
Vince.
you guys hear me right? Yeah.
Yeah. Fine. You're great.
How are you,
My
mate?
Bluetooth not working. Yeah, good. I was just trying some Bluetooth headphones and a shit file, but it didn't work. So here I am.
You sound quite clear,
yeah.
mate. It's good.
Crispy.
I am.
So, I'm not sure who's listening right now, but lots of stuff. Today's going to be a big day.
Can you talk us through what's going on today, Alex?
So we're essentially going to hand over everything today, so we can mint ASAP
Mm-hmm.
and get these birds out to release the flock, which will be very exciting.
Fucking
to have
A.
the first phase one of the migration begin.
This is all just being recorded and stuff. So do you, just for the purpose of that, Alex, I guess, do you just want to run through what the plan is and what the next week looks like, and maybe again just touch on how we've structured this first mint and what comes after and just all that sort of stuff, just for the purpose of the recording?
Absolutely. So, in general, the concept is that we want to lean into the F Phantom bridge, the NFT bridge. So that's not live yet, but it will be live and active very soon. So what we're going to do is launch a Genesis series of 777 flamingos on Phantom. That will happen in the coming days. And essentially these flamingos have a unique wing structure and some different backgrounds that will be rare in the main flock. And essentially these Genesis flamingos are going to go out to the Phantom community. And there's a lot of benefit to buying an original Genesis flamingo, because once you've mint one of these, our second mint is going to be on Ethereum. And that's going to be the main mint. That's going to be the mint of 3,500 flamingos. And if you own a Genesis, you get a free mint over on the F network. And so that's 2 flamingos. And then all F holders, once the bridge becomes live, you get to migrate your flamingo from Ethereum back to Phantom. And on arrival back at Phantom, you will get a free flamingo, which will be essentially your partner flamingo. It won't share any attributes or anything to your original one. It'll be a completely fresh new flamingo. But so F holders get 2 for 1. Genesis Phantom holders actually get 3 for 1. So that's a pretty cool reward system there. And then we'll have a whole flock back on Phantom, and that's when the sort of second phase of this project really starts to get going. Like, our metaverse concepts and everything around that, and actually the like utility itself of the Pink Flamingo Social Club. While nothing is exactly like in stone and confirmed on how that's going to run, that is all sort of in development at the moment. And obviously we're taking community feedback as much as possible to be able to shape what that looks like to be absolutely, you know, the best thing it can be for the holders and for the future of the Flamingo project. You know, that includes, obviously, we're keeping mint price like quite low because we want everyone to be able to get in a really good price on the flamingos and like grow with us and, you know, make money off the flamingos. So at the end of the day, everyone needs to make money. You don't want to be minting something that loses you money. And by the shape of what how the auction went the other day, I think the flamingos have a bright future.
Fucking oath.
Yeah, that's the general overview.
I love how our original goal has just or our original path and roadmap has just kind of just changed and been and developed so much since even beginning the rollout of this, you know.
Absolutely.
It's just mended and changed so much. It's pretty rad. I think it's worth kind of just touching on maybe some of the things that came up in the lake chat when everyone was hanging down in the Walder last night. There was some chat around the copyright issues around flamingos. Now, let's be honest, these flamingos are fucking rad. And there was a chat going between Nat and Regular in the lake, just talking about if, you know, someone like Nat wanted to take her flamingo. She was talking about potentially giving it her own little musical theme song. And yeah, there was kind of just started this little back and forth on what are the kind of boundaries there, you know, and like what are the legalities and like what's the copyright kind of issues that come up with having such good looking flamingos. What stops someone's taking their flamingo that they purchased and turning it into a whiskey bar or something like that? Can you touch on that, and can we kind of maybe start a conversation around that?
Yeah, I mean, I think honestly it's
absolutely.
Like
you go, Dan.
If you want to come. Oh yeah, I was reading like looking into that yesterday after that comment, because it's a super interesting topic. And I mean, we set the terms and conditions, but it seems like most people are offering it up as like you own the NFT, so you own the rights to be able to do those kind of things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but just quickly, like you actually can't modify an NFT.
Well, you can't modify the original contract, but I guess in owning the art, you can from my understanding is you can still commodify it, and you can like put that on a t-shirt and sell it, or you can open a bar and sell it. And I guess like it probably still wouldn't be a Pink Flamingo, right? It wouldn't be part of the Pink Flamingo Social Club, this new artwork, but you would be entitled to do that, I think.
Let me just read you what Regular had said on the chat. So, okay, she says, Nat. She says, but if I bought mine and with it I get a part of the code/contract, I would think that I could do with it what I want. And if I decided to pimp it out and it becomes popular, it would work good for me and for the original collection. As I see it, let's say I bought a Mona Lisa itself and then I would paint something like my own style. And I believe if I would do this with more big pieces of art, the world would become its own style and then produce a new kind of art. She's gone a bit of a rant, I guess, but she's like, look how punks, stone, apes, squirrels works. They slightly change or on the same, but on another chain, and then people buy it. So adding a musical theme to in mine would at least be better than that. Of course, it's going to be another collection, but imagine, doing it with many projects to create our own tour of JPEGs brought to life by music or animation. I basically just replied with, I doubt she'd be able to make as good Pink Flamingo theme songs as we might. and tried to
Well, here's
kind
the
of
thing,
keep it
like-
playful, right? But what is it? Yeah, Alex, let's talk about that. Like, what the fuck
Her
is?
question, I think, is like, when she says people create different punks and different apes and all of that stuff on different blockchains. They absolutely do, but it's not CryptoPunks doing that. It's copycats, and if Flamingo is really successful, which I think it will be, I definitely think we're going to see Solana flamingos, AVAX flamingos, all of these other ones appear, which will have nothing to do with us. I mean, we can't tell people not to make artwork of flamingos.
Well, we don't
anyone-
own flamingos, right?
We don't own flamingos.
In that same way.
As far as the IP goes and the actual artwork of the Pink Flamingo NFTs, you can't change or modify those NFTs at all. You can't go in and change the code. It is what it is. Because the NFT at the end of the day is is an artwork representation of the smart contract.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't go and edit your flamingo. What you can do though, sure, if she owns that flamingo. I mean, she can do whatever she wants with that flamingo. She can print it on a shirt. I think that's fine. I mean, I don't actually want to explicitly answer that because that's kind of a combo for our dev team.
Yeah.
That's the thing. We'd have to establish the kind of rules around it. But I think, continuing on with what you're saying, it only does benefit everyone involved if there are copycats and people do take these things going forward and recreating them. So, all to that. But, they're not a part of the original. It's, like you said, it's a contract that...
Well, the other thing is, when you've got a collection on PaintSwap, all of these flamingos that can be in one collection. If someone else was to make a flamingo and put it on PaintSwap, there'd be another flamingo. It could be a complete rip-off of ours. And there will be. People will do fakes, and unfortunately that's how a lot of people get scammed. Is people will, just download our JPEG, turn it into an NFT, put it on PaintSwap, and that's why you got to be really careful whenever you buy anything on a secondary, that you buy it from a verified collection, because obviously the NFT space is gambling to heaven. So that said, if you were to just print if you were to mint an NFT with our artwork, a flamingo, then essentially it wouldn't be part of our collection. It's like if you were to mint a Bored Ape and sell it on OpenSea. It's not going to affect Bored Ape prices because it's not part of the Bored Ape collection. But, I'm not sure I can really explicitly answer that question. As far as IP, that's something that we definitely will play with the community with our dev team, but I don't want to say anything on here and not be correct, but yeah.
But isn't it it's kind of also it's a larger conversation that's not exactly specific to flamingos though, right? This is not a problem, but it's just kind of what happens with NFT at the current point. It's just kind of you described this space, Alex, to me 3 months ago, the Wild West, right? And isn't this just a byproduct of that?
Yeah, exactly. That's where we're at so early. And, there's so many... People copy every idea, and they will. Just look at... Every blockchain has, different versions of other projects on it, and that's fine. A lot of them are actually paying homage to the original collection, and that's kind of cool in its own way as well. That's sort of a thing that happens. People will do, punks were trending, apes were trending, all these different animals are trending. So far no one's done a flamingo, so we're actually the only people to have done flamingos, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. But you never know. Maybe flamingos will start trending, and maybe we'll see flamingos on every other blockchain. And at the end of the day, people can do whatever they want, but it won't be our collection, and our collection will hold its own value relative to what the community values that collection has. So, if that makes sense.
People might copy what we're doing, but at the end of the day, if that's what's happened to every other NFT, then I guess it's just a natural progression, and in a way, it's maybe flattery is not the word, but like it's just kind of a good thing in some weird kind of twisted way.
You know what I think this goes down to, like, kind of the main fundamental definition of actually what an NFT sort of is, like being a non-fungible token. Like, sure, anyone can copy it, but the thing is, why I don't think people really give a shit.
You can't fake an NFT, and you can't like create more than our 7,777. You know, that is a fixed limited supply. There is 7,777, and there will only ever be that amount. We can't and we never will mint more than that. So it is like, that is what in itself drives the price up, is because if, you know, it's just supply and demand. Like if there's people, if you've got 50,000 groups looking like 7,000 things, like that's just obviously going to drive the price up. So, yeah, well, you can copy it and create a, you can't really, you can't exactly,
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It's
you can't add more, you can't modify more. The collection is the collection, and it's backed by the smart contract, which is public and everyone can see the transactions, and you know, you can't, there's no funny business going on, which is what I reckon is what attracts me most to crypto and the NFT space in general. It's just fucking world changing.
And then basically, I guess, you know, we are prepared for the success of these things, and I guess by the success of them, I mean like them being sold, all of them being sold. That's the main goal, right? Like it's in terms of the minting, and the purpose of having that kind of low price point and all the rest of it, like, because we know, right, once they're sold, then our game changes as well. Like me as an artist, us as a management team, you know, the stuff as we do as a band with events and stuff like that, we just start applying that kind of like metaverse mentality to, yeah, you know, because I don't really want to stop drawing flamingos, or at least flamingo related stuff, you know, but if we can add to that, you know, they're not NFTs, but if we can add to that space in any way with more juicy stuff, it's just can be fun.
Well, that's it. Like, well, we'll only mint 777 flamingos. Obviously, if we design, you know, a metaverse club, there's going to be a shitload that can happen in there. But like, as far as also like, you know, anything around the flamingos can be sort of animated and just turned into content for flamingo holders. Like, you know, we could do short little animation pieces, like we could do, you know, all sorts of stuff like in that realm of furthering, like doing more art but not adding it all to our supply and keeping our supply fixed. And like, that's what's really important. Like when you look at an NFT project, you need to know what the max supply is. Just like when you look at buying any token, you need to know what supply is. Obviously, that's going to directly influence the value. But yeah, the art won't stop. But this series of flamingos will be hard capped at 7,777. That said, we've got these little, you know, like the Pinksy Dust and the baggies, and there's all sorts of other like small items that can be tokenized and used as, you know, in club currency for all sorts of other things, and you know, hopefully over other NFT projects as well. Like there's, you know, room there for some really cool stuff. yeah, I mean, even just the bloody design of the metaverse hub itself would just be the most awesome piece of art on its own, you know, before its utility purposes.
Yeah, I was talking with Ben about build like you know, doing this digital design and build of a fucking like steezy, almost like a stonemasons like super club kind of vibe on a lake.
Yeah.
With like a giant big fat theater, you know, pink theater. I don't know, you know, it'd be sick.
Mhm.
Pink marble, dude. A pink marble.
This grandiose pink marble fucking
Yeah.
clubhouse.
Yeah. And, you know, I was having a brainstorm, you know, just the other day, just thinking in bed, and I was like, fuck, man, like, you could have an art gallery in there, you could have, yeah, like a theater, you could have a movie theater. It's just like a golf course, like, you know, it'd be fucking sick.
It'd be amazing.
I think it's
Yeah, like,
important that we've had social in the name, you know, because I think, you know, depending on where the community and the, you know, the main holders kind of want to take this whole thing, it's like, as long as we've got social in the name, that's going to be kind of taken into consideration each time, like, you know, a meeting place, which is fucking cool.
you can have little games in there. You can have like a little badminton court, squash court. Flamingos that play squash, right?
They play golf too.
They'd be good golfers.
Yeah, I thought would be cool too is if like sorry, I was having computer issues there, but if you do like say you have this metaverse of Pink Flamingos and we are creating things externally and like bringing it back to the community, that also offers the community a chance to like offer their skills up and come share their projects and their kind of things and creative endeavors and create like a global network of where we can share art and share creative things and just connect. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Dude, I was talking...
Absolutely. I think that's kind of going to be core to it. Is essentially it's like, yeah, it's a group, and if you're a Flamingo holder, you get access to this group, and what a better place to, if you've got your own NFT project and you're looking to team up and build a team around it. Because I mean, as we've learned from this, like, there's a lot of people involved in an NFT project, and the bigger it gets, the bigger the team has to get. And you know, if you're an artist and you're trying to figure out where to start, what a better place to start than like being in a group like that, where you can sort of openly bounce around your ideas and be like, all right, guys, this is my idea. Who's keen to help? And you know, these groups are always mostly full of other people who create NFTs as well. So, you know, great place.
Yeah, and like I've seen like people's works, like their personal works, like that movie trailer that got shared the other day in our group. It's like rad to see. It's rad to see so many people like who share very similar traits, just degenning in NFTs and like finding this new way to express themselves and live and fucking traverse the world. It's
epic. Well, it's like it's what we're experiencing as we speak right now. Is like the three of us have been artists in different fields our whole lives, and we haven't really found our place until finding the NFT space.
Yeah.
And now we've found a place that, holy shit, we can do what we do here, and you know, and there's a community and there's, you know, people to support it, and we want to do the same for other people going forward. So more people in here, the better.
Dude, that black and white tracksuit is so fucking crisp. I want that on my Flamingo.
It's nice, hey?
Yeah.
And I've updated all we used to have the Bitcoin logo on that yo-yo. So everything's just Phantom now, because Phantom fucking rules. We found our family, boys.
Yeah, can you zoom in on that gold chain, the pendant?
cool. Nice shine.
Some of these attributes would be really cool to actually make merch.
Oh, mate, the merch drop we'll get to do. See, that's another thing, going back to what we were sort of saying before, like future artwork and utility. Like, we will 100% do merch drops, and we'll 100% do all these other things that aren't NFTs around in Flamingo Social Club. Like, there's so much that will come, but yeah, as far as supply of the Flamingo itself go, that's the one thing that is fixed. Is 7777. But yeah, the merch, man, that'll be so fun.
Yeah.
Like statues of your flamingo. Get for your house, like a 2 meter tall.
Even just like sick, like a really smooth acrylic bust. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, you know, all the Dragon Ball Z figurines I fucking collect. Like, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, a really, like, look, you can even, like, look at the pink. Imagine that as, like, super smooth, really nice to touch acrylic. Like, plastic. And it's a desk thing that can, you know, we just work with a 3D renderer to be able to, like, basically turn anyone's flamingo into a thing. And maybe that's a price you have to pay because of the development, but, you know, who knows?
So sick,
dude, if like that's what I'm saying. Like, if we do end up kind of like, obviously putting a whole bunch of cash aside to be able to do shit like that and create shit like that, or even just get the community to, like, you know, I don't know. Maybe a physical NFT might be different or like separate, or who fucking knows.
Well, you know, I've seen like quite a lot of other NFTs where you have to do, you know, figurines and stuff, and like they'll be exclusively for sale and only available to Flamingo holders. And, you know, I think that's a cool model as well. So, like, because everyone does love to have physical versions of artwork, and, you know, we can obviously do some competitions and some giveaways, but then we can also, like, there is obviously a manufacturing cost associated with doing that and stuff. So, you know, but we'll be able to offer these things in limited supply to Flamingo holders. It'd be freaking awesome.
I think it's important, you know, just being able to, like, if people want to see these things come to life and they do want a physical version of them, I don't know, just allow the people that have engaged into your economy to, like, be able to, like, kind of be like, we want this, and then it happens.
Yeah.
You know, all the greatest startups in the last, 10, 15 years have kind of all developed and worked on the same model, whether they're in crypto or not.
Exactly.
Did I hear you're getting an NFT jumper?
Yeah, dude, I literally sat on the phone with Bush Doctors last night for 2 hours, dude. It was insane. We came up with a fucking sick idea for just a really small series of art, doing a little bit of a collab project. His photography is really fucking cool. He takes, like, photos of, like, all kinds of textures and, like, natural kind of, I guess, kind of psychedelic textures in a way. And we're talking about rocks or like strange grass patterns. Or there's a photo he showed me where he took a photo of a piece of bird shit that, like, smacked on a rock at the beach, but then the wave hit the rock and, like, kind of, I don't know. But then he generates the image and fucks with it and duplicates it and does all this kind of geometric shit and creates these really, really you can see on his avatar. It's like, that's kind of like the vibe. But yeah, we sat on the phone and we talked about fucking everything, man. Like, it's just, yeah, it's pretty rad. Yeah, he had some great things to say, and again, just someone we met through. Well, I've met through the community. He's been so fucking supportive of everything we're doing from the start, and it's like, why the fuck not? Like, you know, the more artists in this space that can just reach out I was kind of explaining to him because that you like, you know, as I've said to you two before so many times, because as an artist you have to pull yourself back into your process and you basically have to relinquish control of the final product.
Yeah.
I think because you're already stepping back and you're already just like giving over infinite possibilities of outcomes, it's easier for me at least to conceive things like collaboration, where I'd, you know, otherwise be really protective over my style and not really up for collaboration. This is somewhere that I think collaboration should be really kind of promoted. Like, you know, if you get, because it's generative, like if you had 3 or 4 artists that all had, you know, if you called it a brief, but it's basically a structure brief, so everyone understands the same structure of what the NFT will be or the final product will be, and if everyone stuck to that structure or at least got given a section of that structure, and all in separate spaces put together their own artworks, and then another artist or one of the artists brings all of that artwork together into a master Photoshop file, and then prepares, you know, this infinite possibility of layers and layer combinations, and then you're literally creating a generative art, which is just a whole bunch of different artists' art to the same brief collided together to create something truly collaborative and unique, you know?
Yeah,
That's so cool.
You're literally starting to step into another realm of art. It's like, it's kind of stepping back from the ego and being like, I'm an artist and this is my fucking style, you know what I mean? And turning into, this is art and who the fuck knows what it's going to look like. We're just going to take 4 people or 3 people who know exactly what they're doing aesthetically, throw them together, and then that, like, what the fuck will that be? Who knows? The excitement and the mystery behind that kind of art is, it's fucking just rad. That's, as a concept itself.
you could do that. That's how you could also, you know how we discuss music NFTs and stuff like that. That could be a really rad way of doing that. Is you get 4 producers or 4 musicians together to do, like, you know, they've all got a rhythm section, they all do basses, they all do like chords or middles and stuff like that.
And there's like a set BPM or something.
Yeah, same key or some shit like that. Just a set of like 10 songs or something like that. You just randomly generate each from, you know, like there's only one rhythm section, one bass section, one these kind of things. But
So cool.
That's really cool.
Dude, it's essentially a band, an NFT band, right? Like,
an NFT randomly generated band.
that is so cool. Yeah. Dude, even
Hey
our...
guys,
AI.
I'm
Fuck
gonna
AI.
jump out for a sec, but I'll be back. I've just arrived at the office.
No
So
worries.
I'm gonna some gear, but I will.
We'll keep going for about 15, 20 minutes, but then I've got to get into this Excel spreadsheet and get shit done.
Yeah, dude. We'll get that shit done today, and we'll be fucking flying.
Fucking A.
Alright, guys. Chat soon.
Chat soon, dude. No worries. Yeah, I mean, dude, me and Morgs, I know Morgs is listening. We were having an epic chat about this exact thing, about how to go about and how to conceive a generative music project. I've told Morgs to basically get the fuck onto it and get started because, one, I think his style would be perfect because, you know what I mean, the bounciness and the space that he uses in his production.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, and you know, you literally just create a tier. Your attributes and your tier systems of rarity are like fucking rad little keyboard riff, or like super awesome like run, or like a, you know, you record the bass line 6 different times, becoming more complex and groovy each time. Shit like that.
Yeah.
And then you can be like, there's the vocal line or the vocal chorus is like a super rare trait where it only comes in, you know, like.
Yeah. Or like, yeah, really nice reverbs, really like lush strings can be these super rare things that just...
Yeah, even presets, yeah. And maybe even like, yeah, like a super fat is like a super rare, and it's just like heavily compressed, super large, like fucking master, you know?
Yeah, there could be one that's just like a high quality synth one. You know, like you actually get like really good synths and record like one version that's just like... There's all these different parts out there. It's cool. I mean, like you said, like you're kind of pushing on territories that are like new forms of like art and expression, and it's pretty cool. Like
Well, it's ego death, right? Like, it's the kind of shit we've been writing all our music and stuff about, dude. It's like willingly stepping into a world and a space where it's like, I'm totally fine with relinquishing control of what is completely subjective. You know, if art is subjective and we're pretty ready to accept that, then infinite versions of one thing is a brilliant way to go about something, you know?
Yeah.
And previously the fear of that, of the infinite, you know, possibility route, it's like, yeah, but how do I trace that? How do I remain a legitimate ownership of all the other versions of what's going to kind of come? And it's like, well, dude, we're using tech now. We're using contracts. We're using, you know, and now that kind of part of it has been and is still developing in terms of protection and making sure that, you know, people are reimbursed for their time they put into these things. Yeah, it's just fucking rad. It's opening up this space of just like, let's just work together rather than compete against each other and try and fucking step on everybody.
Yeah, it's like the power's kind of shifted back to the artist, where they can, you know, because before the artist doesn't have the power, then it becomes this thing of like, oh, what's gone before that sells is what we'll do. And if you're getting rid of that completely, and it's like, well, now we have the power back as like artists. You can create these fucking cool whack shit that is like, yeah, the same thing over 10,000 times, different representations of consciousness and stuff like that. And it's, I don't know, the end of the possibilities kind of become endless, and it's cool to think that art is heading that way, and it's not just like dying in this like mass-produced, remanufactured kind of industry. It's great.
Fully. The chat between Bush Doctor and I got so fucking intense. He's got some crazy shit cooking up. Like, he's talking with lawyers, and like people in government and stuff to try and understand exactly how. He's got this thing called Pockets of Freedom, which he's working on, which is trying to basically purchase pieces of land all around the world. Like, he's a proper nomad. He was he traveled the world kind of doing that nomad thing for a long time. So he's got all these epic, you know, pockets of the world, like in beautiful spots in the world where he wants to buy up land and then kind of create these pockets of freedom and governance and, like, you know, use NFT backend and, like, I guess the community and the strength of communication and tech to create a really, like, kind of open, transparent country, essentially. It's pretty wild. But the level of ideas, I think, and the way that people think in this space, I think, is probably the most exciting thing out of all. Everyone's just coming up with the most fucking crazy ideas, and most of the time people are just like, yeah, dude, fucking bullish, or whatever, you know, like.
It's a new frontier. The possibilities are like just literally endless. Like, you know, if you think about 10 years ago, someone created a currency that is now like super valuable. It's kind of like, if they did that, like, what can I do?
Well, dude, David Bowie was kind of ahead of the times, right? Like, around the turn of the century in the early 2000s, he was like literally like, he tokenized himself. He created like a David Bowie fucking coin, and he got himself on the fucking stock market. Like, he was like, if you want, he did this, dude. He was the same guy who was telling everyone about how the internet was going to completely revolutionize and change, whether it's for the good or the better, every creative's life out there. You know, he's pretty fucking epic, dude. He was 5 or 10 years ahead of what was going on. I'm sure if he was still alive, he'd be basically king and or queen of the NFT space.
Yeah.
David fucking Bowie. Anyway, Dan, I'm pretty sure we're super ready to sign off on this fucking artwork, dude.
Nice.
I had a couple of clashes, like, for instance, the gun and the pendant. Previously, the pendant was hanging down and being blocked by the gun.
Mm-hmm.
And the knife, I think. Let's have a look at the knife. That's one thing I wanted to check. Yeah, see, it happens again with the knife. Not really sure what to do there. What do you think?
Can I go the other way?
Well, do you remember what we had as rarity for the knife and the gun? Because realistically, if we think about it, I could make the knife like gold and make it a super rare, so that the chance of you getting a super rare pendant and a super rare knife is quite literally, it's just we've just minimized it as much as we can.
And then if it happens, we could maybe just like.
Well, if it happens, it happens. I mean, it's not. It's, you. I was talking. Who was it I was talking with? I think it was Degen, Phantom Degen, on the last AMA yesterday when we were here, and he was like, because we were discussing this, right? When the wing is out, and you have this background, which we're counting as the rarest background, which is the moon. You can see that see that little lip of purple here? That is our little homage to Tomb Heads.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and previously it was completely covered by the wing. So on the last AMA, I kind of worked with a couple of people to like find the right spot of where it needed to go. You know what I mean? And then we discussed this, which that's the Genesis series, right? So you don't have the wing, which means the Genesis series, you see the full tomb, and all the Genesis series, you'll be able to clearly see the tomb on this background, right?
Yeah.
Which means, and because they're minted first, when the ETH run is minted, that background the Tomb Heads logo gets covered, but you can still see the lip of the skull. So it's kind of like everyone knows what that is, right? They know that that's the Tomb Head attribute in the background, right?
Yeah.
Same applies for the pendant. Everywhere else you've seen it, you know exactly what it is, so you know that you have it. But that's what I'm saying about the knife. Maybe I make the knife look like a golden knife, like it's super cool. Or maybe I don't make it gold, I make it just really shiny, and I give it one of those shines or something, and make the handle super gold or something like that.
Yeah, or it could maybe be like a.
Because that way, when the knife comes on, the attribute, when you by absolute some ridiculous rare chance you get both those attributes together, you're still stoked because you've gotten two rare attributes or super rare attributes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that's probably gonna be the best.
Rather than, because some of them, for instance, the bandage, dude, I'm getting rid of the bandage. That's not going to work, and I'll explain why. Because of that.
Yeah.
So the bandages the wing item has to sit on top of the clothes. That's one thing.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, anything that comes past this line or this point it'll do the same thing but in reverse. So I've just gotten rid of the bandages, in other words. And that sucks. It sucks to have to get rid of an attribute.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. There's inevitably, I've done as much as I can to limit that happening. But there's only so much you can do, and there's compromises I think that we need that need to be kind of made or thought about.
Yeah. Well, I think that's. I mean, I guess you just have to go by the structure of the layers, right? If it's not going to work for them, then. But is it just the bandage?
Well, that's I was talking about the compromise, right? So previously the gun, but was going to, but that's quite common. The gun.
Yeah.
Whilst the golden gun is super rare. But I feel like because if the gun is common, we don't want it clashing with the pendant, so the pendant needs to at least sit above the gun. but now the knife, you know. And I don't really want to take it too much further up because it will look like a choker. It won't look like a chain.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's basically, yeah. I mean, what's good though is that's pretty much the only major clash at this point. There is
That's good.
some stuff that goes on with the head and the eyes, but I've pretty well sorted most of that out. The only one where the eyes, and again I talked about this in the last AMA, these robot eyes, but they look fine because they're actually like a piece of tech. So for them to sit above stuff still looks right.
Yeah, it looks okay.
Um,
That looks sick.
yeah, that's a cool flamingo. That's a really fucking tripped out flamingo, to be honest. Started to add pieces of shine to the gold drool and stuff.
Like the ego toxin there.
Yeah,
Should zoom in on that.
versus that.
Oof.
Yeah, that's pretty.
Just seeping out of the zips there.
Yeah, it's really gross. But it's good, degen, right? That's kind of like a bit of a thing that's going around.
Yeah. It's,
People who got sick minds, you know.
yeah.
There's the scarab, which I kind of gave some context to in the last AMA.
Mm-hmm.
Just how they, the scarab and, where is it? Foot. The millipede. They kind of tie into the Moxie universe or metaverse or whatever the fuck we want to call it. It's a metaverse, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna make that darker. Yeah.
So cool.
Either way, it's crawling and wrapping.
Mm.
But yeah, see, no major clash really with the. Little bit of cleaning up to do. But pretty well ready to go.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, man. All the colors are looking nice.
Working.
Yeah, everything seems to be working with each other. I love the egg. I love the egg.
Yeah, the green egg.
Yeah. Let's go black overalls. See, that's a cool flamingo, man.
Yeah,
It
badass.
is. Alright. Well, I'm going to start putting this Excel sheet together for those who are artists out there and are interested in how this works. I'll probably do after the mint and stuff. I'd be keen to go through the workshop file, working Photoshop file, and kind of teach everyone how I kind of approached the project. But essentially is an Excel document that will run adjacent to the Photoshop file here. All of these attributes, the names being very important and specific to how a code gets built to basically tap into the visibility of each of these attributes and build flamingos. So
That'd be cool. I'd like to learn.
yeah, I think it's just interesting as well because, like I was explaining before, once you understand how, I guess, the computer and the program are talking to each other, then you and the process, you can dissect that and I guess apply it to a range of different mediums and
Yeah,
you know.
or use it as a construct, so like, or a restraint for creation too. Like, okay, if that's how that works, what can I create within that? And
Yep. And yeah, like me and Morgs were talking about before, when he came up, he's like, "Oh, I want to make a beat for this. I want to fucking do a beat NFT." And I was like, by the way, Morgs, there was a name that came up in a hangout that I was listening into last night, and there is a project that was dropped in that chat that I want to check out with you and see what they've done. But I think there was a couple of beat kind of projects out there, Dan, if I'm not mistaken.
well, I was surprised in the auction where, like, I didn't realize in that auction there was quite a few musical pieces, but they were not like generative. They were just like attaching audio to a piece of art in the NFT.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's like
so I didn't realize that was already like quite an established thing. So there's probably definitely like a bigger of it than I.
Yeah, I believe this was a generative project that Tinfoil mentioned.
Yeah.
But yeah, when Morgs brought it up, it was like, okay, well, this is how I went about it in terms of a Photoshop file, and essentially something like Ableton or Logic, it all works the same way. It's all layers, right? You just layer different samples on top of each other.
Yeah.
So there's no.
I think honestly, you could look into Reaper even for something like this. I mean, but that looks like you can really customize bounces, and you can customize a lot in this games and shit. I reckon that would, and a lot of it's like you build your own. It's kind of like an open source in that sense.
I wouldn't be surprised if someone is. I wouldn't be surprised if someone is developing their own software that can facilitate like an NFT mass or generative bounce.
Yeah.
You know, but essentially, like, all you need is code. You know, like, I realize all these, well, not all, but the dev's role essentially is to build a piece of software that talks between two different platforms or talks into a platform. So, you know, since the 90s or since the earliest conceptions of Photoshop, there's always been batch editing available, and there's always been actions being recorded. No matter what you do in that program, it's always recording everything you're doing. So they've always allowed you to be able to, like, you know, adjust the brightness on 400 different photos from the wedding that weekend, you know, kind of thing. Before Lightroom was around and before batch editing was around, like, that's always been integrated into Photoshop. So I've realized that's basically what they're tapping into. It's like, you know, and which is why all the naming of your files need to be extremely specific and perfectly on point. And he was making a very large point to us that your names, do not spell them out, do not type them out, copy paste absolutely everything, because it's quite obvious that the code is just recognizing letters and numerical values and to pinpoint where it is inside the program, and then just going ham at turning these on and off with certain parameters that it's been given to spit out 7,777. I could sit here for 3.5 months and do that manually, but that's, you know, that's essentially what it's doing, which is really interesting, because then you just kind of realize, okay, cool, there's a role for a middleman here, so I don't necessarily need to worry about how it gets exported. All I need to understand is I just need to focus on creating a very dense, populated project, where this project is full to the brim with, you know, quote unquote, infinite possibilities. That's it. Like, your job is to just create a project that you can navigate very well and have fun with, building flamingos or building a beat and a song, turning all the different things that you have in that project on and off to create different variations of the one song. Once you've created that hugely dense place inside of a program, that's your job done. Essentially, you now need to, again, what I'm about to do today, which is create your Excel spreadsheet that correlates, which is just a list of everything inside of that program outside of the program. And then, yeah, there's the dev's role is literally just to take everything inside of that program and turn it into a piece of generative art. it's pretty straightforward, really, in a lot of ways.
Yeah. Like I said, for coding, it's just the language where it's like this needs to apply before it can do its actions. And yeah, as long as you can get it in there, it's like, yeah, because you can get low code to do lots of things. And I guess that's like, with programs that are a bit more open source, you can like pimp and customize your own settings and do your own routing and do all these kind of cool things if you know how to write those things.
Yeah, it's fucking wild.
It's the future of art. Like, it's cool.
Fucking A. You could do it with Premiere Pro as well. Anyway, all right. Speaking of that, I reckon there's a waving flamingo to say goodbye. We'll go back to the lake. No, we'll go back to the desert as we fly back across the desert to go back to our humble lives before the next season begins at the Pink Flamingo Social Club. Sick. It's this has gone for an hour and a quarter, so I feel like
that's plenty.
That's enough. People will probably be very, very sick of this chat by this point. Anyway, I'm gonna get this on YouTube. I guess we started YouTube. I'll go and do that right now.
Cool.
Chuck this up on YouTube, and I guess we'll keep dumping things like this.
Yeah, it's really best place.
We can share it around. All right, Ledge.
Great. I reckon maybe I'll put a little thing in the AMAs or the chat room, get people to post questions, so we can have some, if they're not going to meet the AMA but they want to ask questions, like.
Yeah, we can also ask them, get people to put questions in there and just make note of them and then bring them up when we do start an AMA.
Yeah.
Okay.
Alright. Talk soon, bro.
Alright, Legend. Thanks everyone for listening.